Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Fallout 76 video. So, today we are going to take a look at the legendary crafting system. So, obviously, this is aimed more at newer players than longer-term players, but who knows? You never know, you might find something interesting in here. So, essentially, the question is, what's the system? Why does it matter? Why is it the best way of getting legendary gear for your character? And the major reason for that is RNG. So, to take a short step backwards, there are a number of different ways to get that legendary gear that you want for your endgame character, and that's more or less what we're going to focus on here. Once you get past that level 50 mark and you're starting to look towards the sort of endgame loadouts that you want. There's legendary weapons, that legendary armor, maybe that legendary power armor as well. So, a lot of places you can get this from. You can get it from random legendary enemies that you happen to bump into out in the wild, from legendary enemies at events, from completing events themselves. Some of those drop legendary items as rewards as well, and then there's things like daily ops and expeditions and stuff as well. So lots of different ways to get it. However, the big problem with going down that route is RNG. In short, the random number generator basis of the loot table, in that any item with any combination of effects can drop. And the odds of getting the item you want at any given point in time are extremely long. So the legendary crafting system basically allows you to pull that down to a much more manageable set of odds. We are going to look at the legendary crafting for one specific item today. We're going to have a look at me re-rolling a new ultrasight Gatling laser, hoping to get an upgrade. Spoiler alert, I didn't, but anyway. So, in order to craft your legendary gear, you'll need three things first off. The easiest one to get is the item that you want to make legendary. So, whichever weapon you want, whichever pieces of armor you want, and whichever pieces of power armor you want. I would probably prioritize them in that order: weapon, then armor, then power armor, because that's kind of the order that's going to have the most impact on your game. So, the easy part is getting the item. In this case, an ultrasight Gatling laser. You'll need the plan in order to be able to craft it, or find one out in the wild. Either one will work because you can re-roll options as you go, as we'll see in a minute. Other than that, we need two specific crafting resources in order to change the legendary effects on these, and that is legendary cores and legendary modules. Now, first up, legendary cores are dropped from a number of different places. That is specifically public events. So if you open up the map and you see an event icon, that's the little hexagon thing that has an exclamation point in the middle of it, those should pop up every 20 minutes, top of the hour, 20 past, and 22. Those will always drop legendary cores. In addition to that, daily ops and expeditions also drop legendary cores as well. And you can kind of farm these up. You'll get between sort of 1 and 3, depending on the event and how lucky you are. As you go, these will build up over time. They don't weigh anything, and they will just sit in the miscellaneous tab of your Pip-Boy until you are ready to use them. So the one drawback to these is that, in a way, it's kind of the slower of the two things to get a hold of. Because it is just these specific events to only drop a handful of them, with legendary modules, as we see in a minute, you can get more of them more quickly on the whole. But when you're crafting large amounts of legendaries, then the cores can be kind of the bottleneck, really, on that one. But if you keep at it, you should accrue a decent number and then roll a whole bunch of stuff, and do it a bit at a time in sort of batches, and hopefully that'll get you where you need to be. So the second item you need is legendary modules. These are, as I say, slightly easier to get a hold of. The best way to do this is to basically find and kill legendary enemies and get their legendary items. Now, you'll probably get a whole pile of stuff that you don't want. There are certain events that are particularly good for this, incidentally. Eviction Notice is one, and Radiation Rumble is another. They're best done with plenty of other players because they are high level and the enemies they have a very high damage output, so you won't want to be trying to do this on your own. But if you are in the middle of those events, you should be able to tag lots of enemies and get a lot of legendary items as a job, which is a rapid way to get the ball rolling on this. And of course, you can just pick them up as you go through events and through random encounters of legendary enemies as well. Once you've got those, you take the ones you don't want down to a train station. If you're very, very lucky, you might find something you do want, but chances are you probably won't. And on the platform of any train station, you'll see a legendary exchange machine. And if you head over to that, activate that, you can turn these legendary items in for scrip. They will vary in the amount of scrip you get back. It's a specific currency that is only used for this purpose. And once you build up a decent amount, there is a limit. I believe it's about 5,000 is the limit you can carry. But once you've got a decent amount, you can then start using that to purchase the legendary modules. From where is the next question, obviously. So we're going to head down to the ash heap at the bottom of the map here, and into the rusty pick. In here we have the remains of an old pub with some workbenches around here, and primarily the most important thing, the Purveyor Murmur in here with her little shop. So as you open up her menu, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff, including the opportunities to just buy randomized legendary items. I don't recommend this, and to be honest, I don't recommend this even when she's running a sale, which does happen, but the odds are still sufficiently long that it's not really worthwhile to you. This is a good opportunity to highlight where some of those odds are. If you look at the 3-star legendary ranged weapons, the odds of getting the specific item with the specific set of effects that you want directly from the purveyor, if you hit a 3-star legendary item here, is something in the order of 120,000 to 1-ish. So, yeah, not great. However, if we go through the crafting system, we can pull that down to a fraction of that, which is much, much more helpful. So, we also have on here Vault Steel. Now, this is used to craft a specific set of, actually, legendary armors, but that's a whole separate thing and is a very specific 3 sets of gear, so I'll leave that off for another occasion for now. What we're interested in is the legendary modules at the top. And to be honest, this is the only thing you should be spending your scrip on, really. Buy legendary modules, and you will be able to use them to craft your gear of choice. So we're going to buy up what we can here. These, however, it's worth noting, do have weight, so there is something to consider. The scrip doesn't, so don't worry about the currency, just build that up until you get as much as you want to, and then buy the modules when you are ready to start crafting, would be my recommendation. Then you're not filling your stash box up with them or lugging around heavy modules. Well, actually, they're not that heavy, but it does all add up, so not a bad way of sort of avoiding the encumbrance issue. So we've got our modules, we're going to drop them into the stash box for now and head back to my camp. You could do this stuff in the rusty pick itself, as there are workbenches here, but we're going to go back to my camp for reasons. Now we have all the components we need, it's dead simple to start crafting the legendary item. So we're going to head over to the weapons workbench on this occasion. Same thing applies to an armor bench or to a power armor station if you are wanting to craft armor or power armor, but we're going to do a weapon today for this example. We're going to go down here and find the ultrasight Gatling laser that I want to roll legendary effects on and choose the random legendary effects options. Now we can roll 1-star, 2-star or 3-star effects. So rolling the first one of these will present us with 3 randomized legendary effects. And in this case, nothing we want. So there we go. So at this point, we have the option to re-roll. This will use more of the resources we've been gathering, but it will give us 3 more randomly selected effects. The big difference here is that we are always going to get them on the item we want them, so I want a Gatling laser here. I'm not going to end up with an armor piece doing this, so that reduces the odds massively there. I also won't get legendary effects that can't occur on this item, so that reduces it further. The pool is getting much smaller, but so far we've got nothing I want. So I can re-roll this at 1-star, 2-star or 3-star, and this always re-rolls all of the effects, so you can't just pick and choose which one you're going to change. You have to re-roll everything or nothing, which is, it means it takes longer to get the item you want, so offsetting the progress we're making a little bit here, but on the other hand, perhaps that gives the devs a bit more time to produce more content while you're farming up your gear. I don't know, something like that anyway. So, we are going to re-roll 3-star again, because I want a 3-star item, and it will re-roll the whole lot. If I were to roll 1-star, I would get a 1-star item back, but I would lose the other 2 effects. So, we're going to keep re-rolling a few 3-stars until we get something that we want. In this, we're going to get a couple of decent things, but unfortunately nothing that is actually an improvement over the one I already have. So I'm actually after anti-armor faster fire rate, ideally, but I have not found anything that will yet top what I have. So we've run out of materials with which to continue re-rolling. I no longer have any more cores. The modules I can get a few more of. Cores, I'm out, so I'm going to have to farm up events for that. But that is basically how the legendary crafting system works. Same thing applies to armor, same thing applies to power armor as well. If you happen to get an existing legendary weapon that you like the weapon and want to re-roll the effects on, you can do that too. You can start with a legendary weapon. You don't have to craft one from scratch. That is a viable option. And it basically works in exactly the same way. So, there we go. I'm going to have to farm up a whole load more legendary cores, bit by bit, and hopefully I'll have a bit more luck next time. But we're going closer to 1 in 10,000-ish odds, as opposed to 1 in 120,000 that we were looking at if we were just going for a random 3-star legendary range weapon. So definitely improving my chances at the very least. One other note that is a little bit worthwhile as to where you can get legendary cores and legendary modules from, that is seasons. The scoreboard does often have a few here and there scattered through it, so it's something to keep an eye out for. So scoreboard, I mean the seasons pages now have changed it, haven't they? But there we go. Essentially, that is your best way of creating the legendary items you want. You might get lucky and just find them out in the wild, dropping from legendary enemies, always worth keeping an eye out for it. And occasionally you'll get something very good that you don't want yourself, and you might be able to sell it for a few caps in your vendor. But on the whole, if you're after that specific thing you want, turn it in for script, and when you're ready, buy the modules at the last minute so you don't have to carry them around. But there we go. That is how the legendary crafting system works. Fairly simple, not too bad once you get to grips with it. Once you've got the feel for how the crafting benches and everything like that work, it's fairly a natural flow with everything else in the game, so you'll pick it up easily enough. A couple of other tips that I would say is I would wait until you are post level 50 before you start worrying about doing this, especially if you're a new player, because basically you'll out-level your gear if you don't. Every item either maxes out its level at level 45, as with the Gatling laser here, or it will go up to level 50, and that's where the item's best stats are. So wait till you get to that point, and then you get items that you can use and you won't out-level. So that's my last tip, and I hope you folks found this useful and informative. If you did, please consider dropping subs and likes. We've got loads more guides, tons and tons of camp builds, live streams on Fallout 76 as well, all over the channel. We've got Fallout 4 content here as well, if you're interested in that. And we do some other bits and pieces on the side as well. Starfield, and we go outside of the Bethesda realm as well, if you're interested in that sort of thing. Do have a little look around the channel, there's tons to keep you busy. For now, I'll say a massive thank you very much for watching. Do hit likes, subs, all that good stuff, and channel memberships as well. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.